People want results. And this guy has had such an outrageous body transformation despite being father of 5 and having 2 jobs. And I will also add, as an occasional side gig, being a swordsman at Renaissance festivals. So this is going to be an interesting BODi experience. Can you tell us your advice for somebody who finds themselves midway in a program and they find that it's just a non-starter for them?
Obviously, programming is important. You need to have a trainer you trust and can relate with. If you have a community that's encouraging, it's just like, I'm part of the group, so I want to do things. And the more you do that, the more you find that you're in it, and you don't have any more excuses.
Hey, it's Carl, and welcome to this episode of the BODi Experience. Now, look, if you think you're a busy parent, my guest today is going to make you think, okay, that's a busy parent. And this guy has had such an outrageous body transformation despite being father of 5 and having 2 jobs. And I will also add, as an occasional side gig, as a hobby of being a swordsman at Renaissance festivals. So this is going to be an interesting BODi experience. Please welcome to the podcast the current, so almost face of 25-minute speed train, Kris Kody. Kris, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. I'm honored. Thank you so much for having me on.
Your story is so unbelievable, but I have to say, I am a little bit infatuated with this. Seeing you on your, we'll put your Instagram handle up so that people
Sure.
can just see how awesome this Renaissance Festival stuff is. Like, I've never gone to one. I've always wanted to. Is that where they like take the big legs of
Big turkey
turkey?
legs and
Eat these things and huzzah! Anyway.
That's right.
Okay, but it's fun to live in fantasy land, but you've also been living in reality.
Yep.
And you've had a stunning transformation. And I don't want to just get into that part of your BODi experience. I want to go back to where it all started and understand, where were you before you got to this point, and how has life been progressively getting busier and busier that the challenges of a healthy, fit lifestyle seem to get harder to achieve as life goes on.
Absolutely. Yeah. Gosh, well, my fitness story kind of goes back a ways, back when we only had 2. My wife and I both knew a Beachbody, and I think we did a Power 90 workout together like 100 years ago. And I think I was telling Ollie before, I was working in VFX in Burbank, and I had gained a lot, considerable weight just being sedentary and behind the computer. Probably 265, almost pushing 270. And something needed to change. I wasn't feeling good. And so at that time, we started doing Insanity together, my wife and I. In fact, I was doing a solo for a minute because I had to get up really early to get that done before I'd made my commute. And just stay consistent with that. Around that same time, I think the Portion Fix, or it was that 21 Day Fix, came out, and she loved that one. And so we do that together. And then Joel came on board, and I loved boxing, so I did his 10 rounds. I did quarter 4, so I did, and just slowly but surely the weight came off. I think I got down to like 207. It's feeling good. And I look at pictures back then, I'm like, man, that's awesome. And then we, things started to shift. Suddenly we had another child, and that was probably my height, or my leanest. I was doing Beachbody consistently. Because I loved that I could just get up, push play, and go. I didn't have to worry about my own programming. I didn't have to sit there and think at the gym. And I didn't have to travel. It just saved time, and it was efficient. And then, and I was doing the sword fighting stuff too, and some kind of teaching that and doing that kind of stuff, which was
Got to be strong in the sword fight, man.
Absolutely. And so then, fast forward a little bit, we had a little girl. We had to move from Orange County to Bakersfield, and some job changes, and then adding more jobs, and so now, and then we had our second little girl, and totally unplanned, mind you. I mean, not to get too personal on the podcast, but we already taken care of things permanently. And yet 6 months later, after my little surgery, number 5 came along. And so, now I'm like, okay, well, I got to do more work and get more jobs going. And so I had that. So at the height of all this, I had both my day job as I have a sales job, and I was also doing videography wherever I can. And then I was doing the Renaissance fairs during the summers. And so doing all that, I thought, okay, cool. These Renaissance fairs to kind of keep me in shape, but I was struggling in that time to really get consistency in my workouts with all the busyness and everything. 45-minute workouts. I think at the time I was doing, I was trying to bounce between lift more and then dig deeper came out. And I was like, well, I like the pump. I want to check that out. And for crying out loud, Sean T looks like a bodybuilder now. I'm like, okay, if he can do it, maybe I can do it too. But these 45-minute workouts were just killing me. I couldn't get them in every day, maybe 2 days, 3 days tops. I was getting, it was just inconsistent. And I was really defeated. I was like, I just can't get this to work. And
It's interesting. I don't think we talk about that enough. And I look, we want people to finish programs, and we'll certainly make a point to say, don't quit, don't quit. But we also don't want it to be torture. And we also don't want it to be so frustrating just because something's designed a certain way that means that if it turns out that design does not work for you, that you have to force yourself into it, or that you need to reject the whole ecosystem. So I think it's really healthy for us to have this conversation on the podcast to talk about the balance, or the how to get to that intersection of, I don't know if this is working for me,
right.
but I still have the priority. How do I change this? And so you decided that the construct still worked in home fitness,
Yeah.
but the difference between 45 minutes and, let's say, 25 minutes was the difference between frustration and consistency for you.
Right. Absolutely. During that time was when actually my wife signed me up for the test group for 25-minute speed train. And I was like, okay, sure, whatever. And then I get accepted and I was like, oh, okay, this is good. And, and I got in and I thought, this is what I need. At the time, I didn't know it was only 25 minutes. I just thought I just needed the community. I needed like homework. I needed structure. I needed someone who relied on me to do the thing. Okay, we'll do this. And then I found it was 25 minutes and I had 2 thoughts. One is, thank God, something that's like maybe I attain. Secondly, really? That's it? Is that going to be enough? And when we started, it was awesome because even in the first week, I saw that consistency was there.
Hmm.
I did it. I knew I had to do it. I had to send in my pictures and stuff. But when it was all said and done, I was like, I can do this. This is attainable. And as I said before, I had done some of the Beachbody programs beginning to end and multiple times, and it just got to a point where it couldn't happen anymore. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do the 45 minutes a day. I couldn't do the 6 days a week. Like whatever it is. And and I just want to touch a little bit on the psychology on that, because as you probably know, these programs are not just physical; they're mental as well.
Yeah.
And I found that when you continually run up against that hurdle of don't have the time, can't make the time, it's like this sense of failure. And now you're like, oh, I can't do this. Even though I've done it before, I'm now like, I'm in my 40s. Starting to doubt myself. Like maybe this is just it, because there's a lie out there that says, oh, well, now you're in the 40s. You can't have that same body. You can't really, attain that. That's like, that's not true. You can do it. It's just, how do you fit it into that schedule? Right. How do you fit it into your day? And another transformation happened mentally as you're doing this and you're seeing the success, you're seeing the results, and it doesn't feel like you're doing as much, right? And the other programs in the past, they're brilliant, they're fantastic, they work, they truly work, But in my stage where I'm at, it wasn't working for me anymore, right? Because I don't have the time.
So having done all these programs, particularly, the experience of insanity, like I would say, even I'll sometimes, having done, so many of our programs and the broad continuum of challenge and difficulty and length, there's some that you do and you go, well, this can't be doing anything for me. What was your experience of the first week? And, did you have any doubts that you were going to see results from something that literally was almost half the time of what your body has been used to when it comes to vigor?
That Great question. About halfway through the first workout, I thought, I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be enough. By the end of it, though, I thought that kicked me. That actually got me pretty good. And then through the first week, because my own mentality and everything when it comes into, and a lot of guys might relate to me. Okay, I love upper days, despise lower days, right? Like I know they need to happen. I don't want chicken legs, and I know that a lot of the calorie burning happens doing lower body, but I always dreaded it. And going back to the Renaissance fairs, 2 years ago, we're doing the joust, and my horse nearly went on the wrong side of the rail, so I had to pull him quickly the other side, and in that movement, it lined up the rail to my knee and blew out my knee.
Oh,
And I
geez.
and I was dumb and continued to work on it for the next few weeks. So as that healed, that it probably took 4 months before I could do a squat again. And so now coming into the 25-minute speed train, I'm like, gosh, like I really started to feel those irregularities, between right and left. And I was kind of dreading leg days, as it were, in the lower body because I was like, gosh, just I don't know. But because of the way that Joel's programmed the workouts themselves, time under tension, and focusing more on time instead of reps, and then having it be so like to the point and getting these moves in 25 minutes. I saw I had zero fears of any pain, didn't have any pain, and doing it, I actually started to look forward to the leg days because there was no longer this, oh my gosh, I got to do quad sets on these, quads and glutes, and I'm going to be sore for 3 days. I'm not going to be able to sit down. I'm going to hate life. And it wasn't like that. I was able to do the workouts, feel good, but that plus, I believe, the wonderful gift of recover helped to keep the soreness down. And so I was able to go into the next one day after day. And since there's only 25 minutes, I feel like I get to that point where like, oh man, this is hard. And it was like, I don't know if I could do this. And you're like, oh, you got 1 minute left. You're like, wait, what? Oh, okay. Push, 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 push. Okay, cool. And so now I'm feeling accomplished. I feel like I got something done. It was difficult. And that's it. It wasn't easy, right? It's not 25 minutes, speed train and you're gonna kick back. It's 25 minutes of really putting your body to the paces, but you get it. It's just so well it's so well designed. I mean, I don't want to like toot the horn that much, but the workouts, the way you do it, if you do it consistently throughout the whole week, you're gonna touch everything. Everything's gonna get worked out. Everything's gonna feel good, and you're gonna see that nice dramatic change, over that time.
Yeah, well, I think you really hit it. And the example, like when people have asked me, come on, how can this possibly get you these kind of results? Now, first off, there are studies and is proof, just experiential, that like if you work your chest, let's say, 1 day a week to absolute failure, and then you've got that time to recover, you will actually experience gains in strength and even to some degree volume in your chest, like just once a week. So imagine a program that's 7 days a week that if you're working your shoulders for 25 minutes, you will be thankful that you're not going to do an extensive shoulder workout again that week. And it's going to be good for you because your body's going to recover, but you really worked your shoulders. You really worked your biceps. You really worked your glutes and so on. And of course, we try to keep the core in there. So there is no doubt for me that this concept of training dysfunction, I think that's what we call it, where people are sort of meandering around the catalog or free YouTube workouts, or like they said, they think they're doing lower body, but it's actually out of balance with their upper body, the sort of glamour
Right.
muscles. But then when you lock in to this schedule that the team put incredible effort into and then tested it to make sure it worked, there is no better and more predictable transformation formula than this targeted volume training that he's put together. But I do need to ask you a question because, again, father of 5, wow, and 2 jobs. 25 minutes is one thing. Sure, that helps make it easy, but this is 7 days a week. How does 7 days a week work within the scheme of all that um, conflict of interest and priorities?
Right. That's excellent. It's a combination of things, truly. The 25 minutes is a lot easier to swallow every day to find a time to do it. And I would do it many times. I had a busy afternoon. I would do it in the morning. My morning was shot. I would go and do it at night. There's sometimes where we were actually out of town. I came back and I did it before we left. I did it first thing in the morning, and then when we got back, I did it before we went to bed. Right, like 11 o'clock. I was like, I got it in before the 12th hour, and it's easier to do that because it's only 25 minutes. And the other part is truly the mental game on that, because you're getting it in every day and you're seeing the results pretty quickly. For me anyways, it was pretty quick. I see a few pounds here, pounds there. Within a couple of weeks, I see the pictures and be like, wow, like it's working. I want to keep doing it. On top of that, even is there was many times where I was doing a workout and I would getting my stinking thinking and be like, man, I really can't do this weight, or I'm weak or whatever. Like I should be able to do whatever. And that very moment, it's almost like Joel could read my mind. He would say something to the effect of like, hey guys, I'm only using 5s here. I'm like, oh God, okay. Grab 5s and then feel like I had to complete it and stuff like that. It was almost like, he probably 'cause he's been doing it for so long, he just knows when you need to hear those positive words, right? And so by doing it consistently, you're getting that messaging, you're seeing the results, and you're able to get it in because you do have to make that decision, right? It is a decision to say, I'm going to make this a non-negotiable. I have to get this in. But because of the brevity of the workout and how it's mixed up, and that's another thing too, you do like lower twice a week and you do upper twice a week, but they're different. And and so you don't feel like you're overtraining anything. You don't get that thing where, oh my gosh, my chest is wrecked. I'm like, whatever. Like you do a bit of chest on one day and they do a bit of chest on the other, and you feel good from it. But it's a holistic approach to the whole bodybuilding, and you do it. And again, it almost feels like micro doses of workouts. So I think it's a kind of a holistic approach.
Yeah. So let's get into results a little bit. I'd love to know sort of the milestones. Week 1, like that needs to be gratifying or it's easy to lose people. And then obviously the promise of what 8 weeks looks like. Can you tell us what your initial reaction and results looked like?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the non-scale victory was just, hey, I did it every day. Awesome.
Mm.
And it didn't feel like a big chore. And then, but I did see a drop. I think it was about 4 pounds, 3 or 4 pounds. And
In your first week.
yeah, my first week.
Amazing.
And I think I even lost an inch. Right. And then by 8 weeks, I had lost, I mean, on my waist, I think about 8 weeks. So I think I was about 43 or something like that, 42, 40, something like that, the lower 40s. And then by week 8, I think I was down to 39 inches. And then I did twice. So it's by 16 weeks, I was down to 37 inches, 27 pounds, and it kind of kept going, kept going. I lost the weight, but I was noticing shapes. I'm like, shoulders? Can it be
Yeah.
true? Can I actually get caps? Like I'd never really had those before. And So then we tweaked the portion fix a little bit so that I was still getting higher protein, but it cut everything else out. And then I saw even more dramatic. I wasn't seeing the weight as much. The weight did come down a couple more pounds, but it was the inches, right? I felt like I was getting a little bit more fuller in the chest. I started to get more definition in like the delts and arms and stuff, to where I actually felt proud to take my shirt off again. Because there's that sense of, okay, I feel good. I feel like I can walk around confidently. And then there's that, now I'm able to show off a little bit. This is great, it's empowering.
Sure. Now, you mentioned portion fix. When
Yeah.
did you incorporate that nutrition plan into your habits? Were you doing it before 25-minute speed train, or did you transition to it for this?
Yeah, actually, so in that first round, my first journey I did in my early 30s, with, insanity, all those different things, all the other programs, when 21 Day Fix came out, that was kind of revolutionary for our family, because my wife just absolutely loved it, loved Autumn, um, did the workouts. Like, I think she did that program like 4 times in a row. And she really bought in. She got the cookbook, and the portions and stuff. And we just thought, okay, this is working. I love meat and I love treats, like that kind of thing. And the way that that's laid out is super simple. And we kind of chuckle to ourselves sometimes. I mean, and we kind of like, we have family members, right? Like, oh, okay, I'm going to do Weight Watchers, or I'm going to do, this, and that. And you're like, okay, well, that's great and all, but you could probably go a lot further with this concept, because it's super simple, and you get all the foods you need, and you learn you learn mentally, and your body learns really what it needs to function, and not only function, but to function at a high level, because you have these containers that teach you how much of the food you should be eating. And you have a list of foods. So, like, I always suffer with the yellows, right? The yellows, which are your grains and stuff. And of course I want potatoes and I want all these fun things and stuff. But they're not necessarily off the list, right? It's just lower on the list.
Sure.
And so
Mhm.
I'll tell you what, multigrain waffles saved my life, because my wife makes excellent sourdough bread, but that was kind of off the table for the duration of the program. And that, with a couple eggs in the morning, I'm like, sweet, I got my one yellow, I got my one red, and I'm off to the races for the rest of the day. And then tweaking things to, like I said, between the two rounds, I went from weight loss to more of a maintain and build. And it was simple. It was very simple to just change out a couple of the containers and see dramatic results. What I tell people is that, like, you see these bodybuilders or these movie stars and stuff who go through these regimens for a few months, doing exact macro counting, right? And doing all these, get the abacus out and be like, I can have this many grams of fat and this many, this and that. And that's basically what I feel like portion fix is doing, but in the work's done for you, right? Here's what you can have. That's your daily allotment. Go at it. And that's been huge for me. And so that was then, and then now, so it was already kind of ingrained. It was more of just a reset and be like, okay, stick to it.
Now, we say, one of the important aspects of portion fix is that people can still enjoy the treats. They can still have a cocktail or two, but it's all within the plan. It's trying to help people understand, if they want to achieve a goal, how can they enjoy those things? At what level can they and still achieve the goal? Because the goal is what the priority is. But I read in the notes that you supplied us, that which I found super interesting, that you used Shakeology. I'm having mine now, but you used Shakeology to help you perhaps wean or dial back the habit of wine consumption at the end of the day. And, like, tell
Yes.
me how you incorporated Shakeology
Yeah.
to help you get these incredible results.
Right, absolutely. Well, part of it was, again, time, scheduling. When am I gonna be able to have this Shakeology drink, because it is good and it does become this treat, and you want it to its fullest, right? So we found that we would be having it late in the day, and then it was just nice that was kind of where my wife and I would kind of just unwind, a couple days of the week, towards the end of the week. we would sit down, have a glass of wine or a glass of scotch, and watch a video or whatever, until like midnight because all the kids went to bed at 10, that kind of thing. And so what Shakeology did for us, it became that thing where we could still have the habit of sitting, talking, maybe watching a movie or whatever, and sipping on something that was good. And we still do it even now. Like it's become this thing it's a treat. It becomes our treat, but we know that it's actually dense nutrition and it actually fuels our body and is something that's actually beneficial to us and not just it benefits this, not just this, right? And even now we've actually gone back to have a glass of wine here and there, and it's nice, but you find that it's not even as I won't say as fun, but like it's not as fulfilling because it's just this, right? So it has been kind of revolutionary for us because I think that's where a lot of my weight came from, I think, was
Sure.
having the drinks and stuff. But yeah, no, it's been a nice a delightful twist that we didn't expect, right?
Chris, I think that is an absolute amazing insight because I've never even contemplated that idea. And I'll be honest with you, when I pour a glass of wine, or a beer for that matter, like I'm not a sipper. Like I'll move
Right.
through that pretty quick, particularly if I'm pairing it with something. And then you kind of it would be kind of nice to sit and socialize with a cocktail. But that's also the same way that's the way I drink my shake because I feel this thing with everything. Like there's a bowl of spinach, a baby spinach in this, and the digestive fiber and collagen boost and the greens boost. So you're right. It is
It's a
incredibly dense
cocktail.
nutrition
Yeah.
but it tastes delicious.
Yeah.
So to take your time with it at a moment when you would otherwise be in the rocking chair on the front porch, catching up on the day, drinking wine, and then that's gonna disrupt your sleep pattern. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you gave me a tip, man. That's really good.
Yeah, free charge,
Well, look, this has been, super insightful. Now I do have to double click into the Renaissance Festival. Now I do understand, look, 5 kids and 2 jobs. I can't even imagine the pressure that you're under, but I do need to know what it's like. I just need a little bit of an anecdote. Give me a little bit of a view inside the Renaissance Fair. How
Okay.
does it happen? What goes on? Like,
Well
tell me about this thing.
well, that from my point of view, I was always, at the in the arena, right? So performing, but the overall experience is a delight. It's really worthwhile to go, and you see all the different wares, and the food is good, and it's like a big carnival, But it's all you have street shows, you have performers, jugglers, strong ladies, and all kinds of different things. We shared the arena. So we would do the jousts, right? So we're the big main event, joust and combat with swords, shields, and maces and stuff. And then we shared,
Maces.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
singing
So
this
we,
thing?
yep, yep, yep. So we'd have one big ball and chain. I'd have the mace, and we would do,
Has
and
it got a nerf
we
on the end of it? What's on the end of this thing?
steel, yeah. Uh,
What?
so I mean, it's not as crazy as it sounds. We try to make it look crazy, but it's all choreographed. We know these fights. We a lot of trust between us and the other knights. And but we go to town, and we would have sparks fly when we hit and connect, and we do it like WWF, man. We would be in the
That's
back before, be like, hey, how are we doing this? Okay, you're gonna win. How are we gonna do this and that and whatever, and kind of devise our little story, and then we go out and perform and um have a good time. It's nothing like riding on a horse and hearing 1,000 people cheer,
that's
so, or
crazy. Now
boo.
is there a narrative to the whole experience, or is it just all these things are going on and, like, you just sort of meandering around this thing, or does it is there a storyline? Is there a king? Like,
Yeah,
what is
yeah. I'm not sure. I know we have our own storyline, but I think any fair will kind of have a story, as it were, that you're entering into. Usually, there's some sort of monarch. We had marry Queen of Scots in June, and then July and August we'd have Queen Elizabeth or whatever, and then in other fairs I don't know what they do, but usually there's some sort of royalty, and they have different guilds that do different things. Some things are more historical, and some things are more fantasy. Some things are instructive, some things are just entertainment. There'll be music and food and drinks and all that kind of stuff. It's a good time. Yeah, absolutely.
I
So
got a new thing on my bucket list. This is
yeah,
exciting.
yeah,
Um, well, look, I really appreciate what you've shared with us, and I think it's extremely valuable for people. But I do want to just sort of finish. I think
just
the best advice, people want results for sure, and they start programs wanting results. And I'd love to end with talking to the audience, your advice for somebody who finds themselves midway in a program or a couple weeks into a program and they find that it's just a non-starter for them. How do they navigate? You said that, it's one thing, the physical transformation and the physical challenge is one thing, but it's the mental challenge which derails people most often. So what is your specific advice on navigating that kind of experience?
okay. I would recommend a few things. One, obviously, programming is important. You need to have a trainer you trust and can relate with. I find Joel to be super positive but real, and they can lead you through that program well, and can kind of be enticing to keep going back to. You need to measure your successes. You need to take the measurements. You need to do the scale. You need to do these things because that's where you're going to see the progress. You don't always see it in the mirror, so you want to keep because your mirror is now, right? And we always mentally go back to yesterday. So we need those measurements and stuff to remind us where we're going, and then you can have your eyes set on tomorrow instead. Not only that, I think the last part, probably most crucial part, is community. If you have a community that's encouraging and one that you are submitting to, that you're vulnerable with enough to be like, hey, this is where I'm at, or whatever. The questions are answered there. You feel inspired. I mean, I didn't even talk to a lot of people in my group, but at the same time, I see them posting. And them posting is like, I got to post too, and here's my sweaty selfie. And it's not even a competition either. It's just like, I'm part of the group. So I want to do things. And the more you do that, the more you find that you're in it, and you don't have any more excuses, right? We always want to excuse and justify our, I'm not doing it today, or because I'm tired, or I'm not gonna whatever, not feeling it, whatever. It's like, yeah, you may not be feeling it today, but I guarantee if you keep doing it, you're gonna feel amazing tomorrow. So
Yeah.
that's probably my
Well, look, and I think that that is great advice, and for anybody who's listening who's considering, you know, the body experience community, um, the power of the community is being there and seeing that other people are doing what you're doing and struggling the way you're struggling. But that does not mean that you need to be a vocal participant in order to gain value from the group or even contribute value. You can put a thumbs up or put a heart on something that somebody says that's particularly helpful for you. But and when it's your time, you want to say something, then you say something. But that community is there to show you that you are not alone in your experience. And I think that's also where, to the point of, you might find that if you're doing a program that they're 45 minutes to 60 minutes and you say to the group, I just don't know if I can, I'm not getting to more than 2 or 3 times a week, and it's a 6 day a week program. The group is going to help you navigate that transition to a program that is perhaps going to give you more grace, like a 25-minute speed train, like a job one, like a 21-day fix where the workouts are tight inside 20 to 30 minutes. And then when you do find a window to climb the ladder to the next level and you want to do that 45-minute to 60-minute program, then by all means. But the most important thing is do something and show your kids that it's a priority and it's not something to marginalize. And Kris, I think you've demonstrated that in spades. I think you've really done a service to the audience to to show how to navigate this. And it's not the platform that's the problem. It's the discipline, but also the grace to help yourself navigate the things that are your obstacles. So I really appreciate your contribution here, and certainly the effort that you put into 25-minute speed train to lose 27 pounds in 16 weeks. That's just outrageous, and your effort shows. And I, for one, can't wait to see you joust at some point.
Thank you. Hopefully I get to. That'd be great.
Awesome. Well, look, Kris Kody, I hope people follow you. We'll put up your Instagram account because I think you're fascinating. And for anybody listening who's thinking about wanting to get the health benefits, the strength benefits, the energy benefits of working out more consistently and eating in a certain way that doesn't deprive you, but helps you be conscious about your nutrition, Kris is a great example. And I hope you might plug into the BODi ecosystem, explore it, and maybe even join us for a round of 25-minute speed train. Thanks for joining us on the BODi Experience, whatever platform you're on. Hope you're following us, hope you subscribe, and hope you hit like or maybe leave us a comment. And above all else, stay consistent with your own health and fitness. Thanks for joining us today.